What we do here is go back.
How's it going, everyone, and welcome to episode 60 of the Lost Media podcast. Today we are talking about Johnny Bravo's Meso Blues short, the original first ever creation of Johnny Bravo in any form. It was made by Van Partible, the creator of Johnny Bravo, as a university project, a final year project, I think, for his thesis on animation, I'm guessing, when he was back in college or university or whatever they call it over in the United States. They call it university and college, so it confuses me as an Australian. We only call it university. This is a bizarre case of I'm not going to release this lost media. It's technically not lost. It does exist. But it only exists with the creator. And there's a lot of theories as to why it hasn't been released. I want to start from the beginning, though, of this whole story. This has been one of those massively elusive pieces of lost media for people who really, really want it. And for the broader lost media community, I think there are a lot of people in the lost media community who really want this piece of lost media. The general gist of it is Johnny Bravo, in case you don't know already, was a show on Cartoon Network in the 90s. And it pretty much launched Van Partible's career as he knew it. And he went from, just being a mild-mannered college student to submitting this little Meso Blues short he made just for a school project. And then all of a sudden, he becomes the creator and founder of a huge show on Cartoon Network. Just as a founding layers, I guess you could call it, of that channel are being implemented to make Cartoon Network a thing. The channel was quite new, and Johnny Bravo was pretty much became the face of it and became the calling card for Cartoon Network and pretty much the iconic things that you associate Cartoon Network's origins with. It's like Hanna-Barbera associating itself with Yogi Bear in its text. Alongside its text, Yogi Bear's usually there. Johnny Bravo is probably alongside the Cartoon Network logo more than any other Cartoon Network figure from any of their shows. And as we know, Cartoon Network's gone on to become huge. Adult Swim was added to Cartoon Network as an adult lineup. It's just massive. And Van Partible making this little short was the humble beginnings, I guess you could say, of this Cartoon Network called Cartoon Network. Johnny Bravo... another one of those shows I didn't grow up with. You need Cartoon Network on a pay TV subscription to watch that. I didn't have that. I mentioned this in a lot of podcasts, so I'll quickly gloss over that. But this short was the beta, very early beginning tests for what would later become the character we all know as Johnny. This was more like an Elvis impersonator. In fact, it was an Elvis impersonator. And the short basically entails an Elvis impersonator doing a dance with no music in the background or any audio. From what we've seen, we don't know what's playing in the background. Presumably there's an Elvis song playing in the background, because that's actually part of the reason it hasn't been released, which I'll get to in a sec. But this is sought after because, as everyone knows, Johnny Bravo, everything that needs to be found has basically been found to this point. As recent as a few days ago, pretty much any Johnny Bravo lost media has been discovered except this. And ironically, it's the first ever Johnny Bravo cartoon of any form ever created. I will get to the first discovery of this. Now, in January 2017, somebody uploaded, I apologize if I can't reference your name off by heart. I don't have notes for this episode. I'm trying to do them without notes at the moment. He uploaded it to archive.org, I think, or YouTube. And it was just a 15-second, seemingly filmed off a screen copy. It was from the original Meso Blues of the first ever thing. It's 15 seconds of Meso Blues of the first ever thing, guys. What could I possibly be referring to? And this is all we've ever seen since. I still don't know how this person found this, considering how difficult Meso Blues has been to uncover. Over the years, it's been quite impossible to uncover. And this was just randomly dumped online. And everyone started getting excited. They were like, oh my God, no way. This is awesome. We're going to see Meso Blues. And that's all we've seen. It's important to note that with Meso Blues, when it was being created, Van Partible was originally going to have 3 Elvis impersonators. And this is all part of the story of how Johnny Bravo came to be. He was going to have 3 Elvis impersonators dancing and doing their thing in the animation, but he didn't have the money to animate all 3. I think that either the college didn't give enough money for the project, or I'm not sure how that didn't come to be exactly, but he eventually settled on 1 Elvis impersonator instead. And he's basically playing the character of an Elvis impersonator, I think, who is struggling for money. You guys have got to correct me on this. I'd say a bit of ignore what I just said, because I know this and I know it's not that. But it's it's an interesting plot to what Meso Blues was supposed to be. I'm unfamiliar with it because as I've mentioned, I'm not a Johnny Bravo massive fan. I have been doing a bit of research on this recently, and that was one of the things I came across, was why this character was created and why he wanted to do an Elvis impersonators or an Elvis impersonator. But I don't know the exact detail as to why, as the backstory behind the original character. But he eventually animated the one. It's supposedly a 3 to 5 minute short. People are guessing it might be a 5 to 10 minute short. And Van Partible has played it at multiple Q&As and conventions and different lectures he's done. He's played it around the place, just around the place, guys, around the United States more predominantly, but has 0 plans to ever release Meso Blues. Is this a travesty? I think so. I think this is a genuine travesty. I think he believes that it's something he could continue to succeed with, being able to show it to people who have never seen it and be like, oh wow, and he could make more money as an artist off his original work. And also because he's not proud of how it's an unfinished version, it's not what everyone knows to be as Johnny Bravo. I've mentioned this in previous podcast episodes, guys. A lot of things that don't get released is what the creator isn't exactly proud of and has nothing to do with the animation in its final form. Shrek, for example, the Shrek test animations that have been released, they were never meant to be released in any capacity ever, because it confuses people with what they know as Shrek, and the copyright holders hate it, and the people who are still trying to make money off Shrek hate it, because everyone's just like, what the hell is this? I've never seen this before. This is different. This changes my view of Shrek. So suddenly you've got 2 Shreks, and that's not what they want. And Van Partible doesn't want 2 Johnny Bravos. He wants the one Johnny Bravo. This is obviously a completely different iteration of this character, very early version. And him just posting this wouldn't confuse people now. I think it would more be a nostalgia trip for people, just getting to see the first Johnny Bravo. But it is still a source of confusion for people. He doesn't want to. It just ruins the continuity of the whole thing. But yeah, supposedly he does want to actually make more money from it. I don't know. Sounds disingenuous and ridiculous, but that's what he wants to do, guys. That's okay. Yeah, look, it's fine. It's disappointing when you're a fan and you really want to see it. For the people who badly want to see this, I know LSuperSonicQ, the YouTuber, one of the bigger lost media YouTubers, he actually has listed this as his most wanted piece of lost media, of all lost media that he's researched, which is interesting. So yeah, obviously people really, really want to see it. It's just kind of disappointing the creators like that. The creator of it is like, oh, I kind of want to make more money off it instead of releasing it, and then the mystery's over and the whole story ends, which I really think is clever, but also kind of annoying. Very annoying, actually. It's one of those pieces of lost media that is so unlikely to ever be released, ever. I actually have a theory that I don't have a theory, but I am confident that this will never be released. Or if it is released, it'll be released in such a long time after the hype has died down and people are like, oh wow, Meso Blues after 80 years has been released. Holy shit. It'll be something crazy like that. Or never. Or actually never. And this 15-second clip that was uploaded is the only version you'll ever get to see. I'm playing in the background, by the way, LSuperSonicQ's videos on the topic, because he's one of the more interested people in this topic, and please watch his videos. He has a lot more attention to detail with the story behind this than I do. This is just a podcast where I discuss Lost Media in a really casual way and talk about my theories and opinions on it, more so than the actual facts with the case. But I do want to include as many facts as I can. And one of those facts is that Meso Blues apparently has an Elvis song playing in the background, and that's why it can't be released, which is a bit of a cop-out. You can actually just use YouTube Studio Beta and tell it to mute all music and keep all the other audio intact. Done. You can release it. That's it. But yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that, guys, when, you know, you can't be released. Meso Blues cannot be released. I think I was first angry when I heard Van Partible say like that this was directly quoted from him, that he just wants to make more money from it, just wants to show it in little lectures and stuff. And now I kind of realize that he's in a position where it's one of those special little oddities for him, and the only way it'll stay special for him and won't ruin the other continuity of Johnny Bravo is if he just shows it to select few people and just says, hey, this is where I started, guys, as opposed to just dumping online and the mystery and the whole intrigue of it just ends immediately. I get that. I really do get that. Wasn't really happy with it earlier, but now I understand. You need to hold on to something that was yours, that was only yours and was your creation, and isn't really meant to be just shared with everyone, because it's not something that you're like that proud of, because it's such an early thing that you made when you weren't as good as your best self, nowhere near as good as your best self. You're just starting off. And I think B, it's just something that he holds close to himself, and he doesn't want just to release it and ruin the mystery, ruin the chance to, share it to intrigued people. He's probably had a really good reception from showing it in lectures and stuff, and people are like, oh my god, Meso Blues. And that's much better off scenario than just being like, here it is, guys, the end. Yeah, I get it. But for people like LSuperSonicQ who it's their most favorite piece of Lost Media, sucked in. No, I'm joking. That is very unlucky that your favorite piece of Lost Media is something like this, that is incredibly unlikely to be released. Who knows? Maybe he could one day get in touch with Van Partible, and Van Partible could just show it to him in a lecture, and he could drop in on one of his creator lectures or something to do with the industry or something, and he finally gets to just watch it. He probably won't be able to keep it or film it when he's there, but just being able to watch it would probably be enough, I think, for him. I'm going to put two things in the description of this video, and they are... I don't know whether or not to put them in the description, but now that I've mentioned his most sought after piece of Lost Media, and Lost Media that is people's number one thing they want to find the most, I'll just dump it in the description. If it's not there, tell me in the comments that you want to see it, because I might forget to dump it in the description. There's a lot of things I put in descriptions for all these videos, and sometimes I forget. And they are the 3 videos I've made on my most sought after piece of Lost Media that I have looked for so long and hard and taken so long to look for it, that I've pretty much given up the search at this point. It's a lost cause, the search for this. It's a television show. It's a television game show, though. But I made 3 videos on it. One has this background and is in this format, but it's unlisted now because it was one of the test videos for this podcast. It was episode 0, I guess you could say, for this podcast. It was made before it started. Yeah. I'll put that in the description. Why not? But a really interesting case of Lost Media, and a really sad case of Lost Media, because basically anything Johnny Bravo, the pilot for the actual TV show, I'm almost sure has been released. Every episode of the show has been released. The bloody JBVO, Dragon Ball Z, and episodes of JBVO are all currently being released, and all of them will be found soon. I think all of them now are found. So this is it. It's just Meso Blues, and it will probably forever remain just Meso Blues. Thanks for listening, guys, or watching, whatever you decide to do with this podcast. This was episode 60 of the Lost Media podcast. This is the last for the week. I've got more coming next week, and then the week after I have even more coming, but I'm not here anymore. They're going to be released a long time after being recorded, and I do a massive backlog of them and still get episodes out for you guys while I'm away on holidays. So that should be good. But until then, catch you later, guys. I don't actually have a catch cry to end my videos. Beep. Wendy's is kicking up for Heater Star. Let's beep this out. Fucking hell.